Your officials tonight, John Higgins, Antonio Petty, and Brent Hampton. We are just about set from WVU Coliseum. Mountaineers in their home gray uniforms, and it's the bright orange for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who, Chris, have had a lot of success in this building the last number of years.
Well, they guard, man. I mean, they really get after you. That performance they put up against Texas in their last game was outstanding on the defensive end. That's how they win games, Oklahoma State.
They try to feed the bounce pass into the big man, 13 in gray. That's Isaiah Cottrell. It goes out of bounds with 14 on the shot clock. There's McNeil, 22 in gray. Coming off a career-high tying 26 in their comeback win against Kansas State. 7 on the shot clock. Cottrell short on the jumper. And the transfer from Memphis, Moussa Cisse, comes up with his first rebound.
You know, Cisse in that defense plays a lot of a one-man zone. They just kind of plunk him in front of the rim. Against Cottrell, though, a guy who can step out and shoot it, he's going to have to at least contest, especially from that 15-foot area.
And there we see the first turnover forced by the West Virginia defense. They're always stout, Chris, just like all the teams in the Big 12, 20th in the nation in turnover percentage. One and done again. Avery Anderson, the rebound. Here's Bryce Williams. And a 50-50 ball goes out of bounds, and it looks like it's going to stay Cowboys basketball.
Now, Oklahoma State turnovers have been a problem for a bulk of the year. They've actually taken much better care of the ball in their last 2 games. Only 11 turnovers against Kansas, only 9 against Texas. It's going to be a key here tonight.
Avery Anderson, 0 in orange. He's their leading scorer. Had 31 in this building last year. And a traveling violation. So 2 early turnovers by the Cowboys offense. And that's something they've done a lot of this year. Something Mike Boynton, Chris, told us earlier today that they've cut down on in Big 12 play.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying. You know, in their last 2 games, they've done a much better job. It's going to be a key here tonight. Because their offense at times can stall. You can't afford to give away possessions.
McNeil contested 2. That's something that Mike Boynton could live with. Anderson slices his way through. Cisse, the rebound, no good. Coming up on 2 minutes gone by, no score. Cottrell working on Cisse. And that's in and out. Offensive rebound. And a good effort by Jalen Bridges. The ball goes out of bounds. 17:58 to go. We were joking before we came on the air, Chris. This league, it's become first to 50 wins.
Yeah, and it's physical. You know, that's the other element. You've got to work for everything.
Here's Taz Sherman, leading scorer, 20+ a game, and he's got the game's first bucket.
You know, he makes a shot with a hand in his face, so you think you're there, and you have to be there on the catch. But you think you're there, and he's still going to pull up and shoot it over you. Got good length, 6'4". Shoots a high shot.
Williams with an answer.
And that's big. It's the worst three-point shooting team in the Big 12, one of the worst in the country. I mean, they just have not been able to get it going from the perimeter.
Just the 13th 3 for Bryce Williams. Here's McNeil in the corner. That 3 ball off the mark. And here come the Pokes. With numbers and a finish by Williams. And down at the other end of the floor, have to check and see who that is. I think it's Kedrian Johnson. Yeah.
You can't afford to lose a guy like that either.
looked like maybe a left ankle, Chris, from that replay.
It's hard to tell. When he went up and then came down, I assume that's what it was going to be. Maybe tweaked it a little bit there.
Yeah. Good to see him up on his own power and walking off, but clearly he's limping, so Kedrian Johnson will be attended to either in the trainer's room or on the sideline. And they're already a little bit banged up in the point guard position because their backup point guard, Malik Curry, had to leave their last game against K-State with an ankle injury.
Checking in for the Mountaineers, Malik Curry.
Yeah, and then beyond that, you know, you go to a freshman in Kobe Johnson who's going to be a good player in time. You know, just not ready yet. But Curry can score now. He's a different, he's kind of an opposite of Kedrian Johnson. Not quite the defender, but much more explosive offensively.
Here's Bridges out to McNeil. Five on the shot clock for the Mountaineers. They thread the needle and get the two. And one opportunity for JB, Jalen Bridges.
Not only does Taz Sherman lead them in scoring and lead the Big 12, he also leads West Virginia in assists. A really good passer. And when the defense steps up, Bryce Thompson there stepping up to try to take a charge. A good read by Sherman and a good catch on the back end there by Bridges.
And Bridges completes the three-point play. 6-5, West Virginia coming in undefeated at home this year, 9-0 and 12-2 on the season. Here's Ice Likely. And the lob, and yes, indeed, that is what they love to do with Moussa Cisse.
I mean, so long. He actually has really good hands, particularly when he can catch it high. And just a really good read there. Not well defended, but really well executed by Oklahoma State.
Cottrell, wing jumper, no good. Here come the Cowboys, up by one. Another lob attempt. This one goes out of bounds, but it's going to stay Oklahoma State basketball. We have a timeout on the floor. It's not Lob Stilly. We're in Morgantown, but the Oklahoma State Cowboys have a 1-point lead with 15:46 to go. Alongside Chris Spatola, Rich Hollenberg, Super Tuesday presented by Progressive. Oklahoma State on the road in Morgantown with a 1-point lead, 15:46 to go. And we've seen this Cowboys offense, Chris, really try to be as aggressive as they can be, and that's kind of the MO for a Mike Boynton offense.
Yeah, really athletic, good finishers. They're very good in transition. I mean, they are going to try to push. That's the early offense they're looking for.
That three off the mark, foul called, and it looks like it's going to be on Moussa Cisse. And Chris, we have an update from around the Big 12. There are now 0 undefeated teams in college basketball. USC lost to Stanford earlier tonight, and moments ago, a final from Waco. The Baylor Bears, #1 in the country, lose to the Texas Tech Red Raiders 65-62.
How about that? Beat Kansas at home and then go on the road and beat Baylor.
Bridges can't get it to go. And this has been the fly in the ointment for Bob Huggins all year, Chris. Scoring close to the rim, he hasn't found that answer yet.
And they're collecting over 12 offensive rebounds a game, but they haven't been able to finish those. You know, it's been a real struggle. And you remember, Rich, a couple years ago, finishing at the basket was a real issue for this team. And it negates that ability to offensive rebound. It's been a real hindrance, and it's again been a problem, like you're saying. It's been a problem this year.
Coming up on 5 minutes gone by in this one. Both teams 1-1 in league play. All alone, close to the rim, and there's an answer. Tyreek Smith, the transfer from Texas Tech, with his first two.
And that high pick and roll, another wide open finish under the basket. And how about Tyreek Smith, first off the bench? Caleb Boone not playing in their last game. Coach Boyd not happy with him.
On a leak out, Anderson. And the ball goes out of bounds.
You know, West Virginia always aggressive off these high screen rolls. The problem is the backside of the defense is asleep. Somebody's got to rotate in there and take away that roll guy. You get the dunk earlier from Cisse, and then there, Tyreek Smith, a wide open layup.
Avery Anderson at the line, leading scorer for the Cowboys. 71% free throw shooter, but he misses his first here. And again, just revisiting last year when these teams played 3 times because they played once in the Big 12 tournament. Both teams won on the opposition's home floor, and Avery Anderson had 31 in Morgantown on 11 for 14 shooting. West Virginia's missed their last 4 field goals. What do they have to do to get a bucket, Chris?
Well, they got to get Sherman and McNeil loose. Or that, driving to the basket. Yeah. I mean, that's what he does, though. He is their best driver and their best finisher at the rim.
We welcome those of you joining us who are watching the Baylor Bears lose their first game of the season, and that snaps a 21-game winning streak for the defending national champions. Baylor loses to Texas Tech here in Morgantown. Alongside Chris Spatola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Oklahoma State out to an early 10-8 lead, and defense has been the headline, as it seems to be in every Big 12 game. There's a breakdown, though, and Jalen Bridges has another 2.
How about Texas Tech getting the win at home against Kansas and then following that up, validating that win with a big road win, all without TJ Shannon, by the way, and Kevin McCullough, who's didn't play in their last game and hobbled here tonight. What back-to-back wins for Texas Tech?
Yeah, tremendous.
You know, this is where Oklahoma State, you know, they're athletic, they're pretty long, and they have finishers. You know, they love to play in transition in the half court. It's not a three-point shooting team, one of the worst in the country, but they are driving to score, stepping in there, as we know, West Virginia team that's going to step in and take charges.
Yeah, that was the 13th charge taken, or actually the 14th charge taken now by Gabe Osaboyan. That leads the Mountaineers. Here's Bridges. He's been active offensively. 5 on the shot clock. Curry contested and a foul as the shot clock winds down. Gonna have to see how this one shakes out.
Foul is whistled on Oklahoma State number 12.
You know, it's a guy, Malik Curry, who's 3 of 12 on the year from 3. This is not a challenge that M.A. Moncrief needs to dabble with. You certainly don't need to foul him.
So that's the 4th Oklahoma State foul, and Bob Huggins is probably asking the same question that I'm thinking. Why isn't Malik Curry shooting?
I assumed it was a shooting foul.
Again, we are not in the building announcing this game, not courtside. So sometimes plays like that a little difficult to decipher. Here's Osaboyan. Jalen Bridges, baseline no good. And that ball back tapped. Osaboyan at the other end. The follow no good as well. Transition 3 off the mark. Osaboyan has the rebound. Eight minutes gone by in this contest. Offense at a premium already. And good hands again by the West Virginia defense.
Nicely done.
Ball's on the floor. Two of the leading scorers for their respective teams going for it with 11:36 to go. We have a rock fight already in Morgantown, tied at 10. It's a defensive battle in the Big 12. Stop me if you heard this before. West Virginia and Oklahoma State tied at 10. Saturday afternoon, a good ACC men's hoops matchup for you on ABC. Paolo Banchero and number 8 Duke hosting NC State at Cameron Indoor. The Blue Devils have won 3 of the last 4 against the Wolfpack. All of a sudden, the Miami Hurricanes are a hot team in the ACC, Chris Spatola.
Everybody's been asking who's the second best team in the ACC. Turns out it's Duke after losing to Miami. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite players in that league to watch has been Darion Sebron. What a year he's had so far for NC State.
Oklahoma State in the road orange. Bryce Williams to the hoop. They waved it off. It's foul on the floor. That's going to go on Sean McNeil.
Foul on Sean McNeil, his first, team foul number 2.
And now Caleb Boone on the floor, and immediately a nice pass inside. Moncrief with his first bucket.
Oklahoma State does such a nice job under out of bounds. Little flex cut there, nice pass, good heads-up play, and a strong finish by Moncrief.
And you touched on it earlier, Chris. Keep an eye on 22 in orange. Caleb Boone got benched during the entire Texas game, a win by Oklahoma State. He was a starter for Mike Boynton, and now he's making his first appearance.
Offensive foul called on Avery Anderson, his first.
An offensive foul called on Avery Anderson. So now that's 6 turnovers already in the first, well, 9+ minutes of the first half.
Yeah, you know, their offense can't hurt their defense. I mean, Oklahoma State's defense is so good. Their defense has won and will win them a lot of games this year. That's why they got to take care of the ball. They can't take bad shots, which they have done a better job the last 2 games doing that, certainly versus Texas.
Good to see Kedrian Johnson back on the floor, 0 in gray. He had left earlier with an ankle injury. Moncrief almost lost it. He did. Loose ball. West Virginia comes away with it. Now Oklahoma State steals it back.
You know, they end up getting it back, but M.A. Moncrief's got to give that ball up, obviously. I think we all saw that. But one of those guards has to go get it from him. Or at the very least, you've got to go up to that big fella now and say, hey, man, it's not your game. Give the ball up.
So the Cowboys will inbounds. Their half of the floor, 12-12 coming up on 10 minutes to go in the first half. Williams forced that one up in the paint. And the tap back goes to West Virginia. Here's McNeil. Hasn't gotten in the scoring column yet. Sherman. And it's good. And Taz Sherman lighting the flame, Chris Spatola.
He can really shoot, and he makes tough shots. So you may think you have him defended, and he's going to put one right in your eye. Just a tough shot maker who's having a fantastic season.
Second leading scorer in the Big 12 by a fraction of a point. Ochai Agbaji with 20.5. Sherman with 20.4 coming into tonight. And here's the West Virginia Mountaineers looking to add to a 3-point lead. And that 3 was a little bit rushed.
Well, that's the thing with Sherman and McNeil. They got a real long leash from Bob Huggins this year. A neon green light.
Bridges corrals it. From the logo, and it's off the window for Sean McNeil. 28th three-pointer of the year. That leads the Mountaineers, and Sean McNeil in the scoring column extends the Mountaineers' lead to 6. We have a timeout on the floor, 8:50 to go. West Virginia up by 6. Sean McNeil's logo distance three-pointer off the backboard extends the Mountaineers' lead to 18-12 with 8:50 to go. And it was a Taz Sherman show early on. He has 8 of the 18, and if Sean McNeil gets going, just like you touched on at the top of this telecast, Chris, this is a dangerous offense to deal with.
Well, he's 10 of 12 from 3 in their last 3 games coming into this one, Rich. I mean, Sean McNeil is shooting the ball so well. Strive.
Yeah, Keelan Boone has been hot lately. He's been hot.
He's been hot from 3. A guy who, 72% of Keelan Boone's shots are threes. So to see him drive it, he's got such good length. You'd love to see him do that more.
Saboyan with the throwdown. And any offense is gravy for Bob Huggins when Gabe Osaboyan gets in the scoring column.
He carved out a nice angle. But that's one of the reasons Caleb Boone hasn't played very much. I mean, that was not well defended.
Both Boone twins on the floor right now for Mike Boyden. Here's Ice Likely. Kicks it out. Williams for 3. And Osaboyan does what Osaboyan does. Grabs the rebound. And foul called on Kedrian Johnson as he drove the baseline.
Bryce Thompson. Spurs,
another timeout to take. West Virginia 20, Oklahoma State 14. Stick with us. We're coming back to Morgantown.
Captain and Rich.
Thanks, fellas. West Virginia out to a 6-point lead, 20-14, 7:44 to go. Chris Spatola, we talk about how every team 1 through 10 in the Big 12 is so stout defensively, and we're seeing Exhibit A and B of that tonight in Morgantown.
Tell you what, he starts giving you offense. I mean, that's a big deal. This guy is one of the best help defenders in the Big 12. He's a foxhole guy. I'd go to battle anytime with Gabe Osaboyan. How about that circus shot followed up by the post-up he had before the timeout? I just would love to play with a guy like this. A teammate gets beat. Gabe Osaboyan is always there. Makes his impact on the defensive end. A little bit of offense here in this first half, though.
Yeah, 5 points for number 3, Big Gabe. And a rare free throw made. That's just his 9th made free throw this season against 31 tries. Here's Anderson, and he's got 2. First field goal of the game for Avery Anderson III.
When this offense for Oklahoma State stalls, Avery Anderson is the guy that you look to. Like, he's got to get this thing going. He's their leading scorer.
Ten on the shot clock for West Virginia. 5 to go. Taz. No good.
Whistled on Kedrian Johnson, picks up his 2nd.
And Kedrian Johnson gets whistled for the foul, so it'll be Oklahoma State basketball as Johnson will take a seat on the bench. Here's Isaac Likely. Boom, bounce pass. And Tyreek Smith lost it, but Oklahoma State recovers. 6 on the shot clock, and they can't get it to go from close range.
And Gabe Osaboyan made about 3 defensive plays in that possession to be disruptive.
And the spin move from Gabe. What's gotten into Osaboyan? Here's Boone. No, and the foul is going to go on Tyreek Smith. We're going the other way. Our January sports calendar rolls on Sunday with the Spanish Super Cup final and the start of the Australian Open. So let's see, soccer, then tennis. Next week, we'll have the first ever Monday night wildcard playoff game between the Cardinals and the Rams, and UFC 270 is Saturday the 22nd. Little bit of everything this month on ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. And now we basically know what Chris Spatola will be doing for the rest of the month.
Nicely done by the promo department with their use of alliteration. Jam-packed January.
Here's Gabe Osaboyan. A revelation on the offensive end. 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 8 points. That's a season high already. Wow. And now he's got his new season high. 9 for Osaboyan and a standing ovation from the Mountaineer Maniacs. Here's Anderson. He's getting booed every time he touches the ball. And he's got a sweet, silky jumper.
And they just reversed that screen. So he does a nice job showing off of one side, coming back to the other, and that's his shot. Not a great three-point shooter, but very good in that mid-range pulling up.
Averaging over 18 a game in his last 5 is Avery Anderson. He has 5 tonight. And speaking of 5s, 5 minutes to go in the first half. Here's McNeil, and that's usually money for Sean McNeil. Now Likely.
Nice.
Tap back. The 3 ball too strong. And again, Oklahoma State has a shot. And a wild 3 from the top of the key goes out of bounds.
You know, it's so deflating because Tyreek Smith made 2 terrific plays to keep the possession alive, just to bat it back out there. But that's been the problem for Oklahoma State all year. They have not been able to knock down a perimeter shot. And now they've shifted to a zone. Gabe Osaboyan has forced Oklahoma State to a 2-3 zone.
That wing 3 off the mark. Cowboys want to run. They love getting downhill. Almost a turnover. Anderson passed up the 3 for the contested 2. Four minutes to go. West Virginia has made 4 of their last 7 field goals. Make it 5 of their last 8. And an opportunity at a 3-point play for Jalen Bridges. Timeout on the floor. West Virginia opens up a double-digit lead against the Cowboys. Thanks, fellas. In 3:55, we'll send it back to the studio for the halftime show. But right now, West Virginia's opened up their largest lead of the game, Chris Spatola, 29-18. How have they done it?
Well, you didn't expect you'd get 9 points from Gabe Osaboyan. So that was, I mean, it's given him a huge lift. And then this guy, you know, they're going to need a third scorer as they progress through Big 12 play. We know Sherman's there. We know McNeil's there. They're going to need a third guy. And I think Jalen Bridges ultimately is that guy. They need him to get more aggressive and assertive.
How about a block from Osaboyan? Stuff in the stat sheet for the Mountaineers. Sherman. And they reset with Curry at the point. Here's Sherman, top of the key, 8 on the shot clock. Now Bridges with 5 to shoot. He gets 2 feet in the paint and knocks it down again.
You know, he does so many things. He's so versatile, defends a lot of positions. He's very unselfish, I think sometimes to a fault offensively. Like, he's talented. He's got good size, 6'7", good length.
And that foul's going to go on Osaboyan. Oklahoma State 0 for their last 5 from the field.
They've been able to get nothing in the open floor. I mean, that's where they score. They score almost 20 points a game in transition, Oklahoma State. And because West Virginia's making shots and getting back, nothing easy in transition for Oklahoma State in this first half.
Likely rarely looks to score. Keelan Boone hits the 3-pointer.
It's the definition of shooters shoot. And he is shooting it well. 7 of 11 from 3 in their last 2 games. He's got a short memory, a guy who believes he should be shooting that rock.
Reminds me of a point guard who used to play at Army. Here come the Cowboys again. Here's Boone again. This time he's off the mark. 1 for 3 from 3 for Keelan Boone tonight. Sherman calls his own number, front ends it. And the boos rain down inside WVU Coliseum on Avery Anderson, 0 in orange. Well, Thursday night on ESPN2, we'll have a college basketball triple header, and it starts with 2 of the top players in the nation, and they're both in the Big Ten. E.J. Liddell leading number 16 Ohio State against Johnny Davis and number 13 Wisconsin. That's at 7 Eastern. And then Johnny Juzang and third-ranked UCLA host Oregon at Pauley Pavilion. You can always watch everything on the ESPN app. One app, one tap.
It's an important 144 here for Oklahoma State. Like, they've got to feel better about themselves, particularly offensively, going into halftime.
Loose ball goes out of bounds, and it's going to stay Oklahoma State basketball with 1:30 to go in the first half. They're coming dangerously close to the lowest scoring half of the season, Chris. They only managed 22 points earlier this year against Oakland. Granted, this is a much stouter defense in West Virginia. And Bryce Williams gets the bucket. He has 7. Cowboys have managed field goals on back-to-back possessions just twice this entire half. Here's Cottrell, and he turned it over.
Nice job getting back, though. Again, that's where Oklahoma State thrives. Turning you over, getting out in the open floor. Nice job by West Virginia getting back.
Ten on the shot clock. Anderson off to the right. And the fight for the loose ball, and a foul is called. That's going to go on M.A. Moncrief. And that's going to send West Virginia to the free throw line. And Chris, I know it's not really fun or sexy to talk about free throws, but West Virginia is the worst free throw shooting team in the Big 12. And tonight, they're 5 for 5 from the line. They were 12 for 17 in their last game against the Kansas State Wildcats in a 17-point comeback. Bob Huggins told us earlier today, every player was taking it upon themselves to practice free throw shooting more. Polycat has his first point of the night. Paulie Cap, one of those super senior transfers that Bob Huggins brought in this year. Played his basketball at DePaul before coming over to Morgantown. And he hits them both. 7 for 7 from the stripe in the first half for the West Virginia Mountaineers. And they're back up by 11. What would you like to see the Cowboys do on offense to get a bucket here?
I mean, that high screen roll they were running early in this first half, they've had great success, haven't really gone back to it. Good to see Likely get downhill here.
He's going to have to push it. 5 seconds to go in the first half. Here's Anderson. Baseline, no good. And we go to half with the West Virginia Mountaineers turning the screws on Oklahoma State, holding the Cowboys to just 23 points in the first 20 minutes. OSU with 10 fouls and 10 made field goals. A defensive effort as usual in the Big 12. West Virginia 34, Oklahoma State 23. It's halftime from WVU Coliseum. We send things back to the studio for the halftime report. Super Tuesday presented by Progressive rolls on in Morgantown, where the West Virginia Mountaineers have an 11-point lead against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Alongside Chris Patola, I'm Rich Hollenberg, and that man, Gabe Osabuohien, is a big reason why, Chris.
He sure is. I mean, look, you know he's going to give you the defense. He leads them in charges, one of the best charge takers in the Big 12. Shot block here. You know his defense is there, but how about the 9 points he gives you in that first half? What a revelation. Sean McNeil only 3. West Virginia's second leading scorer. When you get 9, though, big part of that 34-point score they have. And what a start out of the locker room there for Oklahoma State.
Well, this is a team that has proven their mettle in come-from-behind games, in close games, and against ranked teams. Now, West Virginia's not ranked right now, but they're receiving votes. Don't count these Cowboys out. Here's another lob. This time, Cisse can't handle it. McNeil in transition.
Yeah, we'll see if that gets Sean McNeil going. Again, only 3 points in that first half, averaging 15 on the year. You see a layup go in. But not having Cisse, Oklahoma State not having him in the first half is a big deal. Had 2 fouls, only played 5 minutes. You see what he gives them around the rim for an offense that struggled in that first half.
The runner bounces off the rim. Loose ball tracked down by Oklahoma State. Likely. The rare shot for Isaac Likely. He's got his first 2.
And he's got to get going. No, they need him to be more aggressive in this second half than he was in the first. He was so good against Kansas.
McNeil off the curl.
Sometimes a shooter just needs to see the ball go in. And to get a layup there in transition, you start to see a bigger basket.
Seven for McNeil, 8 for Sherman. Jalen Bridges has 10, and Osabuohien has 9. Balanced scoring for West Virginia.
Foul whistled on Jalen Bridges, picks up his first team first.
This is a guy, he's a perimeter shooter. You know, he and Tad Sherman, you have got to make them drive to the basket. You know, that went in transition, but in the half court, Rich, you've got to make them finish at the rim, because even when they start to put it on the floor, both those guys want to pull up. They want to pull up and take a perimeter shot. And both those guys have been so efficient from the perimeter.
Here's a catch and shoot. 3 off the mark. Kadrian Johnson the rebound. Bridges, deep 3. I don't think that touched rim. And Cisse grabs it and lost the handle.
Osaboyan. Osaboyan. Do this all night.
Here's McNeil in the corner. This crowd wants to explode.
He plays to exhaustion. He's a foxhole guy. Like last few years, Mark Vital, foxhole guy. You know, Gabe Osaboyan, that's a guy, and I say this with experience, it's a guy you want in a foxhole.
Literally and figuratively for Chris Spatola. And West Virginia not pleased with that call.
Picks up his second. Team foul number 2.
How many times have Bob Huggins and John Higgins gone toe-to-toe? Here's Likely, bounce pass. And a good deflection by Bridges, knocking it out of bounds with 15 on the shot clock.
Checking in for the Mountaineers, Paulie Polycap.
And now Bridges will go to the bench with a couple of fouls, and Paulie Polycap will spell him on the floor. Likely.
They've had good success, said that in the first half. You know, they do a nice job executing under out of bounds.
And that one is good in the corner.
That cannot happen. You have got to know where he is at all times.
The one more. Anderson can't answer. And McNeil has the weak side rebound.
Osaboyan tried to put a little English on that thing. Can't be doing that in a foxhole, Gabe.
Gabe's got 9.7 rebounds, but no assists.
Nice pace penetration there, and the baseline skip. The baseline drive draws help. And McNeil does a nice job filling the corner. But again, you have got to be there. You've got to know where he and Sherman are at all times.
Well, Chris, what did Mike Boynton, Oklahoma State head coach, tell us? He's okay if they score points, but they just need to do it on a lot of shots. They're both shooting 50% from the field combined. Keelan Boone, second three of the night, brings the Cowboys to within 9. Here's Osaboyan, and a chance at another three-point play.
Foul is called on Keelan Boone, his first.
Timeout on the floor, 15:41 to go. The Gabe Osaboyan Show continues from WVU Coliseum. Big 12 now on ESPN Plus, a must-have for Big 12 fans. Here's a few of our featured upcoming games. Thursday, these Cowboys in Lubbock to take on the 19th-ranked Red Raiders at 7 Eastern. Saturday, a matinee matchup between number 21 Texas and number 15 Iowa State in Ames. That one starts at 2 Eastern. And if you're a Big 12 fan, you got to have it. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12 now. Osaboyan makes the free throw. He has 12. His career high is 15. And Chris, I don't know if either of us has ever experienced Halley's Comet passing through and witnessing that, but we're witnessing something almost as rare. This is the 6th double-digit scoring game in Gabe Osaboyan's career. It's his 125th career game played tonight.
It's pretty wild.
Paulie Polycap, call for the personal, his first. Team foul number 3.
Here's Keelan Boone, gives it up to Likely. And an offensive foul, we're going the other way. That's the 9th Oklahoma State turnover.
Rondell Walker picks up his first, team foul number 2.
Walker, one of those guys who just hasn't gotten it going this year. Came in a part of that highly regarded recruiting class. Of course, Cade Cunningham, the headline of that, but M.A. Moncrief and Walker are a part of that. Really good season last year. Good finish to the year. Just hasn't found it this season.
Wild shot by Malik Curry. And here's Walker. Tried to force it inside, and Sean McNeil got a hand on it. And the foul called in transition on Bryce Williams.
You can see the offensive struggles manifesting in body language right now at Oklahoma State. At some point, even if you define yourself as a defensive team, which they are, I mean, that's their identity at Oklahoma State, not being able to score the ball, it takes a toll on morale, and you're starting to see that a little bit with Oklahoma State's body language.
Here he is, the force, but he comes up short that time. Good find. Here's Likely in the corner. Not a good three-point shooter.
And credit West Virginia's defense. I mean, they have been so good on the ball tonight, so disruptive in taking Oklahoma State out of what they want to do and want to run.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about this Oklahoma State defense, but the West Virginia defense seems like year in, year out, whatever their identity is defensively, they're still really good.
Well, it starts with ball pressure and has tonight. They've done a nice job. The defensive glass has been an issue area at times for them. They've done a nice job on the defensive glass here tonight, finishing those possessions. They're just really locked in on that defensive end.
22nd in the nation in block shots, 16th in the nation in turnover margin. It's not quite press Virginia, and it's certainly not a team that's going to get a ton of points off turnovers because they're a little bit sophomoric when it comes to offense, but nevertheless, they're going to guard you as hard as anybody in the country.
Yeah, they're going to pressure the basketball. They're they're going to be physical. They're doing it much more positionally than just creating chaos. And a lot of it, too, they don't have that shot blocker. They haven't had that shot blocker on the back of their defense for a couple years now, really since Sags Kanate.
Trying to do it by committee this year with Damon Kerrigan and company.
Just a lot of one-on-one, too, for Oklahoma State. When you take a team out of what they want to run offensively, it ends up breaking down, and it just individuals trying to take you off the dribble.
Now Mike Boynton dials up some full court pressure, trying to change the momentum of this game. Bridges. And a foul is called as Jalen Bridges gets to the painted area and will go to the line.
Team foul number 4.
Bob Huggins today, we were asking about Jalen Bridges because he had 18 points in their game against Texas, the game that Taz Sherman was out. And he was talking about how he wants him to be more aggressive. He thinks that Jalen Bridges defers, and he says he's a good kid. He's trying to do the right thing. But sometimes when you're trying so hard to do the right thing, you end up doing the wrong thing. And this is a guy, we just need to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive. Sometimes you got to take a bad shot just to show that you're into this thing and you're trying to, I think, step into that third scoring role for them.
West Virginia remains perfect from the free throw line. Their largest lead of the game, and that one would have blown the roof off WVU Coliseum. On the other end, and count it for the Cowboys. Avery Anderson, like a house on fire, has a chance at a three-point play.
We just haven't seen a lot of this, but this is where they've been very good. It's a good call. It is a block. And we just haven't seen Oklahoma State be able to get out into the open floor.
Bryce Thompson checks in for the Cowboys.
You know, and Avery Anderson, a guy at the line who, you know, you move up the scouting report. And I thought Cade Cunningham last year did so much thinking for this Oklahoma State team where other guys could just go play. Now Avery Anderson being the guy, you know, he's their leading scorer. He's the top of the scouting report. In the Big 12, man, that's a big target on your back.
Sure is. Speaking of Cade Cunningham, had a career high last night.
Yeah, he's getting better, huh?
Pistons comeback win against the Jazz.
Yeah, he's starting to play a lot better.
Sherman got it. That's a 3 for Taz Sherman, his 3rd triple of the night. Boyne comes out, applies the pressure, and is whistled for the foul.
The one thing Bob Huggins and his staff knew when they saw Taz Sherman in junior college is that he could score and he could shoot. And I admire this kid. It was a great decision to come back for another year at West Virginia. And what a year he's having.
At Missouri City, Texas. Preseason, all Big 12 honorable mention. Playing like a potential player of the year candidate right now. And there is Kedrian Johnson going the length of the floor. A 16-point lead, largest of the game for West Virginia. And there's another throwdown, this time by Caleb Boone.
You know, they're going to need him. You know, Caleb Boone has to start playing better. They're going to need him because when he plays well, they typically have won this year. Like they've given themselves a good chance. They need this guy. That high pick and roll has been so effective when they've been able to employ it. Nice rim run there. Good finish by Boone.
Super Tuesday, presented by Progressive, rolls on from Morgantown. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN alongside Chris Spatola. I'm Rich Hollenberg. Largest lead of the game for the West Virginia Mountaineers, and Taz Sherman, a big reason why, efficient and effective as a scorer.
Yeah, he's really worked, Rich. You know, his freshman season in junior college was okay. I think he had one offer. I'll tell the story on the other side since we can't change his rules. So back to my story that was so rudely interrupted, Rich. I was talking to Larry Harrison the other day, Hugs' great assistant coach, just a terrific guy. And he was saying that after Taz's freshman season in JUCO, he had one offer, and it was from Texas State. So Taz plays another season, has a sophomore year in JUCO, and Larry was at a game, he was at some jamboree game, and was sitting next to a coach from Texas State. And he said, I guess Taz went for 30 in the game in front of like 10 other high major coaches. And Larry turns to the coach from Texas State and says, "You ain't getting Sherman." And it ended up, Sherman ends up blowing up after that. But he was kind of laughing. He said the Texas State guy thought he had him. And then Sherman just kind of blew up. And that's what I was saying earlier. You know, the West Virginia staff knew. The one thing they knew is that Taz Sherman could really score.
He's matched a career high with 5 assists, too. One of just 22 Division I players right now, currently averaging over 20 points per game. And right behind Ochai Agbaji from Kansas for leading scorer in the Big 12.
Foul called on Bryce Thompson.
That foul's going to go on Bryce Thompson, who has been invisible tonight. The Kansas transfer, Chris. What's Mike Boynton going to have to do to get him more involved in this program?
Yeah, and it's a good question. It's been a few games running here. You know, look, it's a guy who's trying to settle in, and he's trying to settle in. I think there's been more asked of him defensively this year. And we know Bill Self and that program, I mean, they guard. But I think what Bryce Thompson's been asked to do this year has been an adjustment for him. And there's been, there's more on his shoulders to have to be, one of those guys who scores the ball for them. And he's still young, he's still a young player.
I hate to keep harping on it, but West Virginia has not missed a free throw tonight. Perfect from the line. And they have a 16-point lead that matches their largest lead of the game. Try to force the pass inside, high to low, and it's picked off by the Mountaineers. McNeil had his pass picked off. Here's Likely. And he pulls his way to the basket.
Yeah, I think we've seen tonight they're going to need him to look to be more of a scorer. You know, they lost that game against Kansas, but he was so good. 16 and 12 in that game. You know, he's going to have to be, maybe not those types of numbers, but he's going to have to be more effective than he's been in their last 2 games.
10 on the shot clock for the Mountaineers. Here's Sherman. Calls his own number. Oh, and it was around and out. Bridges can't follow up. Here come the Cowboys. All alone for 3. Got it in the corner.
Three-point shot by Williams.
Bryce Williams, the pokes aren't going anywhere.
And they're both in transition, these last 2 baskets. You know, Isaac Likely, which is where he's at his best. Just a strong driver, especially in the open floor. Little kiss off the glass. And then feet set wide open for Bryce Williams. You get that in transition, in early offense. It's really the only way they've been able to score consistently here tonight.
Mike Boynton's clubs the last few years have had a habit of starting slow, wins and losses wise in Big 12 play, and then coming on like gangbusters in the second half of the conference schedule. You see they have the pieces, Chris. That one off the mark. The rebound to Walker. Cowboys can get it to single digits now with a bucket. And they do. Ice Likely has 8. Bob Huggins' squad trying to squash a 7-0 run, but Likely with another steal. He's taken over this game, and he gets fouled and will go to the line.
Well, they force 19 turnovers a game, and they score so much in the open floor off of turning teams over. They've done that here in the last minute and a half, and that guy right there has been a big part of that.
Cowboys. 2 shots.
Oklahoma State 8th in the nation, to your point, Chris. 18.7 turnovers forced per game. So far, they've only forced 10 or 9 against West Virginia. But they've been effective. And it doesn't get any easier for these Cowboys. Look at this. On the road tonight in Morgantown, they only have a couple of nights rest before they're in Lubbock to take on a Texas Tech team that just upset Baylor in Waco. Then they go to Waco to face the #1 Baylor Bears, and they wrap it up on the 22nd at Texas.
When you play in the Big 12 and you're dealing with COVID, it's a perfect storm of tough scheduling.
Oof. A lot of sleepless nights for Mike Boynton. But defense travels, as they say. And in this league, everyone's traveling. McNeil off the mark. Tough shot and good defense. Catch and shoot. Offensive rebound, and the putback no good. Likely, again, can't finish in transition. And the fight for the loose ball under the basket. Here's Likely again, and he's got it.
Man. Not necessarily pretty, man, but it's 2. And they are closing the gap here. No timeout from Hugs. Waiting for, I guess, the under 8 timeout here.
Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining. All of a sudden, we've got a 7-point game. What was 16 has been whittled to 7, and now that timeout is coming for Hugs.
Not going to see this possession here in the Louvre as it bounces from pair of hands to pair of hands. Eventually, I promise, it ends up through the basket. I promise. Eventually, you get 2.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Rich Hollenberg, Chris Spatola. What was a 16-point West Virginia lead has been sliced to 7, and that man, Ice Likely, is a big reason why.
Yeah, he sure is. We were talking to Mike Boynton today about him. Life after Cade. You know, this is a guy who lived life before Cade, lived life during Cade, and now figuring out life again after him. And like Boynton said, he shed 15 pounds in the offseason, really tried to commit his body to be ready for this season, and we've seen the impact he can make. You know, I was kind of asking for it after halftime, saying, look, they're going to get back into this with their offense. He's got to be a part of that, and he sure has over the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, he is the epitome, Chris, of a stat sheet stuffer, right? He's not a big scorer, but he gets tons of rebounds, dimes all the time, too. And tonight, again, 10 points, 5 boards, 3 assists for Isaac Likely. Here he is with the ball, trailing by 8. And Likely aggressive again.
Foul is called on Malik Curry.
Yeah, his path too, Rich. I mean, 2 years ago, you remember, when he starts wheeling and dealing, he's tough because of that body. You know, 2 years ago, he missed an entire month with an illness. Took a while to come back from that, you know, after he was sick. You had Cade last year and sort of readjusting his role around Cade. Then you got the NCAA stuff this year where the NCAA makes them ineligible for the tournament. I mean, this is a guy who's dealt with a lot of stuff in his time at Oklahoma State.
No doubt. 11 for Likely, and still in all, he's one of 14 Cowboys ever in the top 25 in both assists and steals.
Jalen Bridges checks back in for the Mountaineers.
Well, West Virginia now in somewhat of a desperate need for a bucket. They're 0 for their last 6 from the field. And Jalen Bridges couldn't give it to him because he's fouled and he'll go to the line.
You know, Oklahoma State comes out there in a press. And, you know, they have done that this year, but I think they have not done it after the COVID pause. You know, we didn't see it against Kansas. We didn't really see it much against Texas. You know, you try to throw it on here in this game, and we haven't seen it in this game tonight. And they're just getting beat down back.
Bridges now has 14. His season high 18th. That came in their Big 12 opener on the road at Texas. Here's Avery Anderson.
Oh, the roll was
tied
there.
Up by Osaboyan.
He had the roll guy wide open underneath the basket.
It's been over 6 minutes since that bucket ends the drought. And it's Gabe Osaboyan, the game high scorer. Likely. Picked off by Sherman. And a foul is going to be called on Avery Anderson as Jalen Bridges hits the deck and will go back to the line. Well, Thursday night on ESPN2, a college basketball triple header starting featuring two of the top players in the nation. E.J. Liddell leading number 16 Ohio State against Johnny Davis and number 13 Wisconsin. That tips at 7 Eastern. Then over on ESPN, Johnny Juzang and third-ranked UCLA host Oregon at Pauley Pavilion. You can always watch everything on the ESPN app. That app was coming in handy tonight as I was checking out the ISU score against Kansas, the Baylor score before our game against Texas Tech. And there's Johnny Davis, who's put himself squarely in the National Player of the Year conversation.
Yeah, he sure has. You mentioned E.J. Liddell earlier. Both those guys, you know, the season ended today. I think both those guys will be first-team All-Americans. That's how good a years both those guys have had.
That one off the mark. Out of bounds, it'll stay Oklahoma State basketball.
Nice job here by West Virginia. Oklahoma State made that run, cut it to 7, and West Virginia turned up their defense.
And they call the offensive foul, and guess who stepped in and took the charge?
Foxhole guy. You know, I am making my plea right now. I think the Big 12 should give out an award for best help defender. There should be like an MVP help defender in the league. I'm telling you right now. I think the coaches would appreciate it. But that dude deserves something, man. He is so good, and he's so unselfish defensively. Just covers for his teammates if a guy gets beat.
And at the other end, Jalen Bridges adds to what is now a season high 20 points. His career best is 22. And what a luxury for Bob Huggins, right, Chris? Not having to rely solely on Taz Sherman or on Sean McNeil. Jalen Bridges has really stepped up tonight.
Yeah, the balance has been, I think, a great sight if you're Coach Huggins.
It's out of bounds. It'll stay West Virginia basketball, counting down to 5 minutes to go, and a 15-point Mountaineer lead in the midst of an 8-0 run. You talk about effort, look at Jalen Bridges.
Yeah. But a big part of his numbers, Rich, because he hasn't made a three. A big part of his numbers is from the foul line. He's done such a good job driving it. Strong drives, getting himself to the line.
Bridges a perfect 8 for 8 from the free throw line. And to belabor the point I've mentioned all night, the Mountaineers are now 17 for 18 from the free throw line, compared to just 3 for 7 for Oklahoma State.
After a review, there's 5:07 on the game clock.
So they had 3 seconds. That's why the officiating crew went over to the scorer's table. Off the inbounds, McNeil. And a timeout called by Oklahoma State. 4:59 to go. We'll take a 30-second break and come back with the remaining 4:59 from Morgantown. West Virginia in control. Mountaineer Maniacs loving what they're seeing from their Mountaineers inside WVU Coliseum. Alongside Chris Patola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. West Virginia has extended their lead to 64-47. That's their largest lead of the night, and it's due in large part to that man, 11 in gray, Jalen Bridges, 2 off his career high with 20 points tonight.
And it's really, you know, they've gotten good balance offensively. It's been their defense, though. Their half-court defense, Rich. You know, the ability to get back. And defensive transition has been an issue at times for West Virginia this year.
And the officials are going to say it's going to stay Oklahoma State basketball.
Foul whistled on Paulie Polycap, his second. Team foul number 8.
Paulie Polycap whistled for his second foul of the night, and that's going to send Oklahoma State to the free throw line. They're shooting 1-1.
At the line for Oklahoma State, Musa Cisse.
This is where COVID can get you this time of year. You know, I'm not saying they would have beat Texas, but if they had Taz Sherman and Gabe Osabuohien in that game, you're looking at a good shot of being 2-0 coming into this one, Rich. I mean, it's not having those two guys. You've seen how well they've played tonight. Not having those two guys in that game against Texas, it's a tough loss.
Yeah. Ask any coach. I'm going to take away your best offensive player and your best defensive player. Now go win a ball game. Cisse knocks down both free throws. The lead is 15. These two teams traditionally play very tightly contested affairs. Hasn't been that way tonight. Good hands by Likely knocking it out of bounds.
Oklahoma State foul on number 13.
And they've done a nice job executing as Oklahoma State's put this pressure on. Nice retreat dribble there. You find a passing angle by Sherman. And then a good look ahead. And here's another trip to the foul line for Jalen Bridges.
He's a perfect 8 for 8, now 9 for 9. If he knocks this one down, he matches his career high with 22. And he's got it. What a night for Jalen Bridges. Cisse.
Ball pressure.
I think that's who you want having the ball at the top of the key.
Well, and not with that guy on him. I mean, Osabuohien just, it's like foaming at the mouth when he saw Cisse have the ball.
And this time they're going to whistle West Virginia for a foul, a little too aggressive.
Foul is whistled on Gabe Osabuohien, his fourth. Team foul number 9.
That's the fourth foul on Osabuohien, so we might not see him the rest of the night, especially if the score remains in this domain. Still getting coached up by Hugs.
Musa Cisse at the line for Oklahoma State.
Cisse, just a 57% free throw shooter, is 3 for 3 from the line tonight.
Yeah, he's going to be a player in time. You know, he's going to have a chance, I think, at some point to be an NBA player. Hopefully he sticks the course at Oklahoma State, develops a little bit more of an offensive game, but he's got all the physical tools.
He was the American Conference Freshman of the Year last year for Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers. Moved over to Stillwater this year. A presence in the middle. Sherman for 2 this time. Taz Sherman has 13. Here's Moncrief, haven't really called his name much tonight, and he turns it over.
He just kind of dribbled, kind of tiptoed into that double team. I mean, the defense was loaded up and set. You got to move the ball.
McNeil in and out. Good effort by Polycap, but he can't grab the rebound. And McNeil fouls Bryce Williams on the other end, sending him to the line for a 1-and-1.
We've seen it, though. We've said it all night, Rich. Tough shot maker. Taz Sherman. Soft rims.
The lead has gotten progressively larger for the West Virginia Mountaineers in Morgantown. 68-50 is their largest lead of the game on Oklahoma State. Chris Spatola, Rich Hollenberg. Chris, is this more of a praise for West Virginia and how they've played, or is it an indictment on what Oklahoma State needs to improve on?
No, I think it's two things, Rich. It's most definitely about West Virginia. I mean, their defense was outstanding tonight. And again, they're coming out of COVID where, they've had guys miss time. They've got their full complement here. And I think you're seeing what this team could be. The other thing is you're seeing the grind of the Big 12. I mean, game against Kansas, game against Texas, both those are at home. But those are tough games, one of which Oklahoma State won. Now you got to fly to West Virginia and play this game against, again, a team that's got its full complement back. So it's kind of a combination of a few things.
Bryce Williams hitting those free throws. He's the only Cowboy in double digits tonight. And that went off the hands of Sherman out of bounds. Bob Huggins saying about Taz Sherman coming back from that break of being in health and safety protocols that he feels like he looked skinnier, like he lost some weight and still needs to put some weight back on. That one blocked. Bridges. Here he is again. He's tied his career high with 22. That one knocked out of bounds with 10 on the shot clock. Time now to take a look at our Capital One rewarding performance, and it is Jalen Bridges.
He's been, I think, aggressive tonight. I think his trips to the foul line shows you that. And this is the guy, he's got to become, I think, that third scorer. We've seen really good balance tonight and what that balance can give this team. Big 12 is going to lock in on Sherman and McNeil. They need Jalen Bridges to step up.
Anderson can't knock down the three. And now we come up on 2 minutes to go in Morgantown. West Virginia with this game in hand. Their defense has dominated the night. That one's stolen away. Anderson got fouled by Bridges, and Avery Anderson will go to the line.
Jalen Bridges called for the personal. His third.
Well, they're the numbers you alluded to, Chris. 6 for 14 from the field, no three-point attempts, and 10 for 10 from the free throw line. I take that back. He hasn't made a three-pointer tonight.
Kobe Johnson checks in for the Mountaineers.
If you're Oklahoma State too, Rich, you can't let this linger. I mean, we showed the schedule they have coming up. And this is a quality team. Like, this is a team that we've seen play certainly a lot better than they did tonight. You got to have a short memory. You can't let this one linger.
And no quit on Mike Boynton's club as Bob Huggins looks on. A minute 44 away. Chris Spatola from career win number 913 earlier this year. He passed not only Bobby Knight, but Roy Williams as well on the all-time wins list. And of course, most of those wins coming at Cincinnati. 399, that's the most in school history. And then he came back to his alma mater. He graduated from West Virginia in 1977, now has 322 wins as the Mountaineers head coach. And he and Roy Williams are the only two coaches to have 300 or more wins at two different schools. Hugs now going to be 7 away from tying Jim Calhoun for a third all-time on the career coaching wins list.
He's an institution and a heck of a guy.
That three is good. Bryce Thompson finally gets in the scoring column, but it's too little, too late. Just to finish up on Hugs, nominated again for the Naismith Hall of Fame. Consensus feels like it's this year is the year, Chris. Would you agree?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if people realize this. The Basketball Hall of Fame is the least transparent voting process of all the halls of fame.
Why do you say that?
It's the only hall that doesn't reveal the names of its voters. Like, I'm being serious. The votes are anonymous from what they call an honors committee. And so people might have grudges. I mean, you don't know what's out there, and it's a bad process. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, we'll find out later this spring if the call to the hall comes for Bob Huggins.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, that's my point. You know, we should know who's not voting for him. Is my point. Like, we know. Take the Baseball Hall of Fame. You're a baseball guy. Like, you know who voted for certain people or who didn't.
Right.
And look, I believe Bob Huggins deserves to be in. Now, if you, because he hasn't won a title or whatever the reason would be that you wouldn't vote him in, then that needs to be aired. And you know, that's a big problem. It's not just my problem. It's been written about and talked about. The Basketball Hall of Fame needs to look at that, because I think the public deserves to know who's voting and who are they voting for or not voting for.
I think that's well said and a good point. Bob Huggins turned 68 this past September. He's taken 2 different programs to the Final Four. Obviously Cincinnati, and back in 2010 led these Mountaineers to the Final Four. He's also been in 4 Elite Eights. He checks every box other than the top of the mountaintop, winning a national title. And now with 46.7 to go in this game, that's all that separates Bob Huggins and the Mountaineers from their 13th win on the season and moving up in the standings to 2-1 so far. And when you think about some of the other teams that are at 2-1, listen, Baylor was undefeated at 3-0, but now they have their first loss. It is going to be an absolute gauntlet this year in the Big 12. West Virginia's next couple of games at Kansas, Baylor, at Texas Tech. It's almost laughable. That one blocked from behind. Look at Jalen Bridges. I mean, both teams can be proud of the effort tonight, at least. Neither team is going to quit. That's the 6th West Virginia block on the night.
Basket by Thompson.
And now Mike Boynton will call off the dogs, and Taz Sherman will run this out and dribble the clock out. An impressive and decisive 70-60 win for Bob Huggins and the West Virginia Mountaineers over Mike Boynton and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. West Virginia improves to 13-2 and 2-1 in Big 12 play. Oklahoma State drops to 8-6 and 1-2 in the Big 12. That'll do it from Morgantown. For everybody here at ESPN, including my broadcast partner, Chris Spatola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Thanks for watching. Now we send it back to the studio. Dallin Cuff and Sean Farnham. Take it away, boys.
Thanks, Rich. First